Okay, good morning, everyone. I'd like to begin by acknowledging that we are in Treaty 1 territory in the traditional homeland of the Métis Nation. As directed by Manitoba Health, we're requesting people avoid close contact within 2 meters with anyone showing symptoms of a respiratory illness, such as coughing or sneezing. If you are experiencing flu-like symptoms, we are requesting that you excuse yourself from the room. Please note, when you join the meeting via Zoom, all participants will be placed in the waiting room and your microphone will be muted until the host lets you into the room. You can follow the hearing live via the City's Board of Revision YouTube channel. When your property is called upon, you will be allowed from the waiting room and permitted to speak with respect to your property. Once you've been heard, you can leave the meeting and continue to watch the hearing live via the City's Board of Revision YouTube channel. If any participants are currently watching the live meeting on YouTube, please mute your audio player now. I'd like to introduce the members of our panel today. My name is Cynthia Stevens and I'll be chairing today's hearing. The other 2 members of the panel with me today of the Board of Revision are Mr. Robert Philick and Mr. Doug Marks. Our assessors are Mr. Doug Strawn and Mr. Mark Colatriglio, and our secretary this morning is Belen Rojo. We will be hearing applications for revision of the assessment roll in accordance with the Municipal Assessment Act. The matters for which revision is requested have been described in each application, and we will limit discussion to those matters. The statements that are made at this hearing are sworn testimony, and anyone speaking to the matters must be sworn in. Be advised that comparisons of assessments of properties are not considered evidence of market value by the Board of Revision. The Board of Revision is appointed annually by Council and is independent of it and the City Administration. It makes its decisions on the basis of the evidence provided at this hearing and issues a written order that will be mailed to all parties as soon as possible. Please note that the board's decisions with respect to an application may be appealed to the Manitoba Municipal Board if the matter pertains to assessed value or classification, or to the Court of Queen's Bench if the matter pertains to application of exemption from taxation. Should you wish to appeal, information on how to do so will be included with the board order. With respect to the hearing process, I will confirm the points of appeal with your property to be addressed with each applicant following the swearing in. We will then have the assessor's testimony followed by questions that the applicant may have, and then the applicant's testimony followed by questions. Each side will have an opportunity to summarize if they wish. Once all the evidence about an application has been brought forward, the applicant may leave. The process will repeat for each item on the docket today. The session will close after all applications have been heard, and the board will deliberate in private and make its decisions. We will receive the board's decision by registered mail as soon as possible. As information, all public hearings are live streamed, recorded, and will be part of the public record. Use of cell phones is not permitted except by approval of the chair, and if you do have a cell phone with you, please make sure it's on mute. Thank you, and we can begin with the swearing in of the assessor and the applicants, please, for 80 Turnbull Drive.
Please state your full name. And you have from endeavor to represent the truth and what you present by the truth. Thank you.
We take 10% of that. The cost occupied at 91,020 square feet. When we have this together, we get the
Hello, sorry, there's something playing in the background.
ERV at 952, 980, and that would be my recommendation.
Good morning. I had the YouTube video on. I just turned it off.
Please state your full name.
Hi, my name is Robert Reimer.
And do you affirm the evidence you're about to present is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you. Mrs. Reimer, will you also be presenting?
I don't think so, but I might, I guess.
So please state your full name.
Allison Thiessen.
And you affirm the evidence you're about to present is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, good morning. Ms. Thiessen and Mr. Reimer. So what's going to happen, I did just explain it a moment ago, but I'll just run through it again for you. Mr. Strawn is going to give his evidence. Then you may ask questions, and then the panel members will ask questions, and then it will be your turn, and the same process will go forward for you as well. Okay?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. So, Mr. Strawn, please proceed.
Good morning. Property is 80 Turnbull Drive, 03020706-200. It's a two-story property. It's out on Turnbull Drive neighborhood. Family property. It was originally built 2003. An effective age was applied to the property 2018. There was a number of renovations, building permit taken for the upgrades. Record shows it's got a full basement. There is basement finish, 6 washrooms, central air, attached garage, and in-ground pool. Lot size, it's a Red River lot, 67,200 square feet. The 2019 assessment is 924,000. Sorry, I didn't mention this is a 2019 supplementary. Thus the 924,000. The comparables, you'll see that 3 or 4 of them are on in the Minnetonka area, and comparable number 2 is Forbes Road in St. Patel, all 2-story. The ages vary 1993 up to 2008. I was aiming for square footage. You'll notice that the areas range from 2,700 up to 3,400 square feet. Full basement, comparable to on Forbes Road as a walkout basement. Washroom count, variation, fireplaces, and all the properties do have attached garages. 3 out of 4 of them have in-ground pools. Lot sizes, 7,800 to 217,000 square feet. So there's quite a variation. It was, it's a unique property, so I had to widen the parameters to find comparables. Since it's a 2019 supplementary assessment value, I had to take a look at sales that occurred prior to April 1st, 2016. Sale prices, actual sale prices, 805,000 up to 950,000. The time adjusted sale prices are well, 8 to 800,000, just under $1 million. Year September, or the sale date September 2014, October 2013, August 2013, and August 2013 for comparable 4. The second page, this is a map just showing the location of the comparable properties. You'll see the subject property closest to the very bottom, just off Turnbull. It's just off of Pembina, and the Red River to the east. For the supplementary assessment, there was a building permit, construct addition, 2-story addition, 1,400 square foot addition on the north side, and additional 141 square foot garage expansion. Total project value $450,000, and I didn't supply all the information. I've got plans, the blueprints for the property, some aerial photos of the property over the years. The board would like to see those, but otherwise at this point, I'm requesting that the 2019 supplementary assessment, $924,000 be maintained. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Reimer and Ms. Thiessen, do you have any questions of the assessor?
Yes, please. Thanks for that information. Just a point of correction. The year built of our house was actually 1983, not 2003. That was the original the date.
Thank you.
I think the rest of the information is probably correct. We just got this information 15 minutes ago, so haven't really had a chance to look at it. But certainly, yes, no sewer, no water beside the river. So I think based on just the question as to any other questions for you, sir, I don't think we have any unless Allison does.
Again, thank you for the information. In the land influence area, we currently do not have a bus route at all. It stops north of the LaSalle River. And the traffic is at times heavy. It's considered a construction road to the floodway when there is floodway activity.
Okay.
Okay, any other questions of the assessor?
I don't think so.
No? Okay, thank you. Mr. Marks, do you have any questions of the assessor?
None for me, thank you.
Mr. Philick?
I have one question. When I looked at your comparables in the areas that they're in, was there anything closer to the property in question?
That's why I had to widen the area to look for comparable properties. It was somewhat unique. It was difficult to find sales, so that's why I had to go a bit further. I looked for a couple of river properties, so I wish there had been closer sales, but
But you didn't find it.
unable to locate, especially with the reference date being April 2016. It was and post or after that date, there has been properties that have been renovated, and sold, but I have to stick to the reference date of April 2016. Sales prior to that.
Thank you.
Okay, okay, I just had just one question. Do you happen to have with you, Mr. Strawn, what the assessment was prior to the renovations?
The 2019 value was 538,000.
538, and then you said it was a 1,500 square foot plus garage.
Yes, 35 square feet.
Okay, okay, thank you. That's all I had. Okay, Mr. Reimer and Ms. Thiessen, you may proceed with your evidence. And if you are referencing any of your documents, I notice you have a few here. If you could just tell us which ones we should be looking at, that would be great.
Certainly, thank you. So I'll do the talking for now. My name is Robert Reimer. So we would wish to appeal the supplementary property tax notice, which indicates an assessed increase in value of $386,000 of our property from a base of $538,000. So that's taking it to the $924,000. This increase resulted in a supplementary property tax charge of $4,846.57 for the 2019 tax year, which we did pay in December 2020. The information provided by the City of Winnipeg shows that the tax assessment for 2018 and 2019 is based on an assessed value as at April 1, 2016. So that was on the Board of Revision information that we received. Our position is that there should be no increase in our property value as at that date, April 1, 2016. And if anything, the adjustment probably should have been negative, as our house was probably not even worth the base $538,000 at that time. So just as some background for you, we have embarked on a significant renovation and addition to our house starting August 2015. This project involved completely gutting the existing house to its frame, leaving no windows, no doors, no inside walls, no stairs, really nothing except for studs. So that original house is essentially kind of gone. We moved out of our house into a rented house for this project that was supposed to be finished in January 2016, and we ran into significant issues with our builder. We hired an independent assessor in February 2016 who determined our project was only 25% complete. This is just 1 month before the April 1, 2016 property valuation we are appealing. We then hired Phrase Construction Management to be a credible project billing manager who could determine the percentage of completion of the project and inform us how much to pay the builder as the project progressed. So in my email, you can look at the detailed costing spreadsheet from Phrase Construction Management. I'll just be talking about that for a moment. I also included the email from Phrase Construction Management to which that spreadsheet was attached. So you'll see that in that assessment by Phrase Construction Management as at May 13, 2016, which is, I guess, 6 weeks after the April 1 date, that his assessment of the state of the property was as follows. And this you'll see this in the details in that crazy spreadsheet. Basement floor had not yet been poured. The mechanical room, the HVAC, had not even been started. There were no exterior doors, no garage door installed to protect inside of the house. There was no drywall. There were no staircases, no railings. There was no flooring, no baseboards, no indoor doors, no interior doors, no closets, no painting. Although it says 75% of the plumbing was done, there was no functioning water system. Even at August 23rd, they actually had a 500-gallon tank that they plugged into our house to feed water into the house. That's in August. There was no millwork at May 13, such as no kitchen, no bathroom cupboards, no counters, no appliances, no functioning light fixtures. The HVAC was roughed in but not functioning. So that's 6 weeks after the April 1, 2016 valuation date. And then even 4 months after that valuation date, we also included another document, the credit union's independent assessment of our house value by Red River Group. That was at July 2016. Shows that our house was still only assessed as 86% complete. So the painting was only half done. Flooring was only 25% complete. No electrical fixtures have been installed yet. Half the millwork was not done. Half of the doors had not been installed. So what we would like to state is that we believe that this strongly demonstrates that our house was completely unlivable as of April 1, 2016, and would therefore not justify an increase in value over the base. And if anything, a negative assessment could be justified, as it's completely unlikely our house would even be valued at that base of $538,000 at that time, but certainly would not have reasonably sold for $924,000. So we request that we do not pay that the property not be valued at $924,000 at April 1, 2016.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Strong, do you have any questions?
Regarding the building permit mentions 450,000. Was there additional costs on top of that? Exterior work? Just some of the images I have that appears the backyard has been upgraded substantially as well.
Yes, the backyard we did last summer, 2019, I guess. So that would not be relevant to an April 1, 2016 valuation. Our our yard was a mess of mud, piles of mud and excavation and machinery and stuff.
And I have the plans. The original plan said any variations occurred during the construction, any changes that had been made in the original plans?
I would say that there's no significant change from the original plans.
Okay.
Just as a point of frustration, we're actually still dealing with the deficiencies that the builder left us with. The city inspector who came in October 2016, so that's considerably afterwards, still had a list of, I think, 31 deficiencies in our house, including code violations and so on. So again, I would like to state that there's just no way our house could have been valued at $924,000 for the April 1, 2016 point. There's no way that the house could have been sold for anything like that. And my understanding of how the realty assessment works is it says your assessment should reflect what your property would have reasonably sold for on the reference date and its physical condition at that time. There's no way anybody would have paid $924,000 for that shell and all those things to do.
So you're saying that even though your house is completed today, that all the renovations are done. If it was moved back to April 1st, 2016, it's only worth the value you mentioned?
I wouldn't say that we're questioning the valuation of our property for, let's say, today or 2020, but again, my understanding is, and this is what was sent to me, this document from the city of Winnipeg, says the general assessment year for 2018-2019 is based on a reference date of April 1, 2016. So our understanding is that the city would value our property as of April 1, 2016, and that would be the assessed value that would be used to calculate property taxes for the years 2018 and 2019.
Are you aware that we take the property as it stands today and move it back to April 1st, 2016? Are you aware that we have to arrive at a number if it existed exactly as it is today, move back to 2016?
Well, I'm sorry, that does not make sense, and it does not seem to be consistent with the valuation protocols.
Example, only say if a house was built 2 years ago. For this, for the current assessment, just example only, the reference date is April 1st, 2018. If the house was built today, are you saying that, just trying to compare it, are you saying that a house built 2 years past the reference date is worth nothing? Nothing but the land only? Even though the house is completed as of today? What I'm trying to explain is you go back to April 1st, 2016. So into consideration as it stands today and move it back to April 2016.
Yeah. I guess I'm sorry, I don't quite understand how an assessment today would be applicable to 4 years ago to establish property taxes to be paid back then.
Yes, we have to take a look at the property as of today and since it was the supplementary assessment notice for 2019, the reference date again is April 1st, 2016. That's how we have to assess it. As the house stands today, move it back to April 2016.
But, you know, we were not even living in the house in 2016 because there was no house to live in. So it's puzzling to me that not only are we paying property taxes for a house that really kind of wasn't there, that's the 538 base, but then to say, you know, you now actually have to pay another almost $5,000 for that. I'm sorry, it just does not make any sense to me. And it seems contrary to again, the protocols that are established, but notwithstanding that, it does not make any sense to say what your house is valued at in, I'll say 2020 is maybe when you did this, 2021, to go back 4 years and say, oh, by the way, you need to pay a whole bunch more because we assessed it here 4 years later.
My understanding from the information here is that even though it is now finished, that would be reflected in the 2018 assessment, which would then be the 2020 and 2021 property taxes.
Based on what you provided to us. So these are the reference dates in order to provide a level playing field, it says. So the general assessment year for 2020 is based on a reference date of April 1, 2018. So that makes sense. We're not challenging what we should be paying for later years. What we are saying is it makes no sense to go back and charge us an extra $5,000 back in 2016 for evaluation of a place 4 years later. Like, I don't know.
Mr. Strawn, are you able to explain that for them?
I understand your point. It's since we did the assessment 2019, like I mentioned.
Excuse me, I can't hear what you're saying.
Yeah, if you could closer to the mic. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
The assessor that came to the property, I understand he explained the process. So the supplementary assessment again was effective January 1st, 2019. So it was not renovated or upgraded as of April 1st, 2016. We still have to move it back. Just use our imagination, pick up the property as it stands today, move it back to April 1st, 2016. And through the analysis, it was determined that the property may have sold for $924,000 as of April 2016. So again, we have to move the property back as it stands today to that reference.
I think I'll try to clarify this a little bit. Basically these are your 2019 tax reassessments based on the fact that your property had been renovated. And what they do is they base that value on a 2016 value. So your house in 2019, your house had been renovated, but they don't base it on what it would sell for in 2019. They're basing it on what it would have sold for in 2016.
Okay, here.
Would not that reassessment be applicable to the April 1, 2018 reference date? I don't understand why it should go back to the April 1, 2016 reference date. That's April 1, 2016. There was no value there.
But it's what the house would have sold for on that date, if it was in the condition it currently is in.
So if we did another $500,000 of renovations this year, now you would go back to 2018 and say, oh, by the way, now it's revalued back then for that? Like I'm sorry, this does not make sense. And it does not seem to be.
Okay, Mr. Strawn, are you able to clarify that any further?
About, if I understand correctly, you said there's been another $500,000 worth of.
No. That was an example. I just please don't do it.
No, it's yeah. For example, if you did further renovations, we came out. There's a chance that even if you just finished it today or yesterday, and if we felt the property value has gone up even further, the reference date would be April 1st, 2018. So the upgrades that did occur, we would have to go back as a reference date, April 1st, 2018.
See, but then I would say you would go back to the reference date of April 1, 2020. Like, it does not make sense to go skipping that far back. You know, we are very honest people. We always pay our taxes. Even though we disagreed, we paid the supplementary in December as requested. We're paying our property taxes based on a new assessment going forward. But I'm sorry, it makes no sense to increase our property value from 538 to 924,000 back to 2016 when there is essentially no house there to live in. Like with all due respect, this does not make any sense.
Okay, do you have any further questions for the assessor?
Just one. The permit mentioned 450,000. Does that represent all of the renovations that occurred, the gutting, renovations? Was there additional costs on top of that when you had problems with the contractor? Had there additional funds had to be placed into the property? I just want to update our record. So I'm just wondering, was there additional funds having to be paid on top of the 450,000?
In the spreadsheet, I think the contract actually says it's around 600,000. So I'm not sure about the 450, but we have spent a lot of money fixing the mistakes that builder left us with. We have redone a lot of things at our own cost. We could not recover from the builder. I would hope that redoing really bad work from the builder and paying trades that he did not pay because he took our money and use it for his own house. I would really hope that you would not now add those onto the value of the house too, because that would be a lot of salt on a wound that we're still dealing with.
Okay.
Again, I would like to say that we fully appreciate and we are prepared to pay the property taxes that we should pay for our place based on the value that makes sense. But as an April 1, 2016 valuation date, I do not believe that we should be paying for an extra $300,000 or $400,000 assessment.
Okay, Mr. Strawn, did you have any other questions?
No, I'm done.
Okay,
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Marks, did you have any questions for the applicant?
One question, what was the date of construction start?
August 4th, 2015, I think.
Okay, and completion date?
I guess maybe 2018, like even at the end of 2017, we had extension cords running through our house because the electrical in rooms did not work. So we were tripping over extension cords just to get light and power into certain rooms. we continue to have troubles with water systems because they made a mistake with a cistern and put in a brand new cistern that they cracked, and we have brown water going through our house, and we've been spending thousands of dollars replacing hot water tanks over and over again and sponging our plumbing lines. Like, we are living a bit of a nightmare hell. So when can you say it was done? I don't know. No earlier than 2018. Nobody would buy a house that has had the issues that we had at that time.
Okay, thank you. No further questions.
Okay, Mr. Philick, any questions?
I do. When did you originally purchase the property?
We purchased it in, I'll say June 1995. We were the second owners. The first owners built it in 1983.
And what did you pay for the property at that time?
I think it was 180,000.
How much?
I think 180,000.
And just so that I'm clear as to what this stands, you got, if you can go to the file there where it shows Red River Group, Red
Yep.
River Group. And just for my clarification, this was probably prepared for your Crosstown Credit Union that you probably were getting the mortgage or funding for.
Yes.
And when it says construction progress, it says item number and completed number. If I go to the first one, plans, permits, surveys, 2.0%.
Yes.
Does that mean that's the only amount that is completed at that time?
No, I think what that is saying is that is 2% of the value. And the next column says it's 100% complete at that time.
Okay.
That's my understanding of how that works.
So in this particular time, this was prepared July 22nd, 2016.
Yes.
So the only thing that wasn't finished then was finished plumbing fixtures, drywall finish, interior painting, finished flooring, finished electrical, all these other things.
That's correct. When we were not in the house yet. And like I said, even in August, so a month later, there was no functioning water system. So the builder rolled up a 500-gallon tank and a pump to inject water into our house, and that's how we lived when we moved in. We were still moved into a bit of chaos, but our kids had to start school in a week after that, so we really needed to get some stability, if you want to call it that, for our children.
So you're saying right now the assessment, the $924,000 that your property's assessed is fine with you as to what tax you're paying at the current time. You're just saying that the 924 isn't applicable to go back to 2016. Is that correct?
That's correct, yes. And therefore, we should not be required to pay the supplementary property tax that was assessed.
So what number do you propose for the end of 2016?
What number would we?
I didn't hear the question.
What value are you putting for 2016 instead of 924,000?
There was still.
That's at 924, which you say isn't what you want. What number were you looking at? You wanted it to stay at 538? Is that the number?
That would seem to be the most fair at this time. Like, I don't think we could come up with a valuation at the end of 2016 off the top of our heads. But I think all we're saying is, we're prepared to pay the property tax on that $538,000 value of a house, which essentially was gone. As I said at the beginning, it was completely gutted, so essentially down to no value at all. We're still okay with paying that same property tax for the year. We're just really appealing that an extra almost $5,000 tax bill for that. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. I don't have, my questions have all been answered. So is there any requirement for summation from either party, Mr. Strong?
I'd just like to say that I feel that the 2019 assessment, supplementary assessment of $924,000 should be maintained, even though the renovations were not completed until after the reference date. Moving the property back to April 1st, 2016. As it stands today, I feel that the $924,000.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Reimer, any summation on your part?
We are prepared to pay the property taxes on the $538,000 base, which was established at that time. And we appeal paying any additional supplementary assessment for 2019. We do not agree with a $924,000 assessment going back to 2016.
Okay, thank you. Oh, okay, sorry, were you finished?
I was going to say, you could go back to November 2nd, 2016, the City of Winnipeg inspector identified 2.5 pages of building code deficiencies, and some of them were significant. So again, nobody would purchase our house for $924,000 or anything less at that time, given all the things that were wrong and needed to be fixed at that time. They would have taken us down to nothing.
Okay, thank you very much. That concludes this part of the hearing for your property today, and you'll receive our decision shortly. I just want to make one suggestion, perhaps, that maybe you and Mr. Strawn try to connect via telephone, so he can. It's maybe a little easier for him to explain the supplementary taxation process when it's not in this kind of hearing format. I think it would benefit you to understand, some of the questions you had for him. It might be easier. Mr. Strong, would you be willing to discuss that with them?
Yes.
Yeah, thank you. So I would suggest that maybe you connect with them just so that you have because I can understand where you have where the process does seem confusing to you, and he might be able to explain it a bit better when we're not in this kind of a formal setting. Okay, so thank you very much for joining us today.
Great, thank you.
Thank you, thanks. Okay, so the next property on the docket is 675 Archibald Street. Sorry, just give us a minute to pull everything up here, and then we'll.
Hi there, can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay.
Okay, so is everyone with us now, Belen?
Yes.
Okay. So if we can swear in both the assessor and the applicant, please, and then we'll proceed.
Mr. Assessor, please state your full name.
Mark Colatrulio.
You affirm the evidence you're about to present is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. Mr. Applicant, would you please state your full name?
Giuseppe Di Natale.
And do you affirm the evidence you present is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Welcome, Mr. Colatrullo and Mr. Donatali. So we're talking about a supplementary business assessment for 675 Archibald Street. And so what's going to happen is the assessor will present his evidence. The applicant will, Mr. Donatali, you'll be able to ask questions, and then the panel will ask questions, and then you'll be able to present your evidence, and the process will be the same. The assessor can ask you questions, and then we will ask you questions. So we'll proceed first. Mr. Colatrullo, if you want to proceed, 675 Archibald Street.
Thank you. So file number is 21-1. This is for the 2020 business assessment based on an April 1st of 2018 reference date. The property in question is Unit 1 of 675 Archibald Street, a business assessment ID number of 42017. The business name is Canadian Fighting Center, and the owner's Canadian Kickboxing and Muay Thai Center Incorporated. The total annual rental value under appeal, $73,860. Total area of the premises, 3,447 square feet. And the overall ARV per square foot is $21.43. So if we look at the subject property, again, we're dealing with the premise area, 3,447 square feet. The base annual rental value per square foot, so the base rent that's applied is $18.81. That's a modeled rent. And then occupancy costs are applied to the full premise area for a total of $8,445. And that's how you arrive from the base ARV to the ARV, including the annual rental value, $73,260. There is a difference between the number under appeal and the number that I'm presenting today. Part of that is when this property was originally assessed, there was some mezzanine area that was included in this tenant's premise area that ought not to have been included. And that was cleared up with the owner prior to this hearing. Unfortunately, when the correction was made, it looked like it was only applied to the rental rate side of things as opposed to the occupancy cost side of things. So the original number that you see here, this is $73,860. That was based on the incorrect premise area, including the mezzanine space. So what I've presented or what I'm presenting today is a correction of that. The premise area should match for both the rental rate and the occupancy costs. So that is the correction there. In regards to rental comparables, I've provided a total of 5 different rental comparables. What this is it's a personal service. I guess it would be a retail building in its current usage, but it could be used for a variety of different usages. And it is fairly unique for its construction in the area. So we did have to try to look around, not just within the immediate vicinity of the property to find some comparables, but elsewhere in the city as well. Now, what we found was, for one, it's a larger retail space. So we tried to stick to larger retail comparables. So the first comparable is kind of on Marion. It's a retail space. It's older than the subject property. This is a building that was completed its construction in 2018, the subject property. And the first comparable that I'm showing is built in 2002. It's a bit of an older lease, reported area 3,989 square feet and a reported net rent of $14 a square foot. The second comparable, 249 St. Mary's Road. This is also a fitness-based business, older building, 1998 build, older lease, 2011 lease, but 3,052 square feet at $19 a square foot. The comparable number 3, that's 17 St. Mary's Road. This is retail location, retail business. Again, older building than the subject property, 1982. We've got an effective year built modification to the age of 2000, which indicates that there has been some upgrades to that property. This is a newer lease, though, November of 2017, and a larger premise area than the subject property, 5,764 square feet at $17 net rent a square foot. The last 2 comparables are both fitness-based businesses. 206 Osborne, it's a 2016 lease, 4,980 square feet, $21.08 a square foot. And the last comparable, 1325 Henderson Highway. This is the newest comparable. This was built in 2012 and a fairly new lease of November of 2017. Larger than the subject premise, 7,000 square feet at $23.50 a square foot. So there is a range in the indicated rental comparables from the market, as low as $14 up to $23.50. I think given the age of the subject property, it's a fairly new building. $18.81 as produced by the model is right within that range, and I think is more than fair. But my recommendation is to reduce the annual rental value to $73,260 based on the correction of the premise area and the calculation of occupancy costs. So that is my presentation. I'm open for any questions.
Okay, thank you very much. Mr. Denatali, do you have any questions for the assessor?
You know what? Thank you, Mark. Not so much questions. I think I understand everything. I just, just tell me when I can plead my case, I guess.
Sure. Okay, that's great.
Yeah,
thank you.
I'm going to make this as easy as possible, as efficient as possible. So I'm basically paying assessed at 21. Is it my turn? I'm sorry.
Yeah, you know what? Just let us panel members ask the assessor questions, and then you can present.
Okay. No worries. I'm sorry.
Okay. Thank you. No, I know if you've never been through this before, it can be confusing.
No. Okay. No problem.
Okay, Mr. Marks, do you have any questions for the assessor?
No questions for me. Thank you.
Mr. Philick?
Sorry, no questions this time.
I just have one question. Just want to confirm, this was a new build or was this a renovation on this property?
So this is a new built property.
New build. Okay.
I believe it started construction in 2016. I believe there was a fire at one point and it kind of delayed construction and they didn't open until 2018.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Mr. Denatali, please proceed with what you wanted to tell us. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Thanks for your time. I mean, I don't own the building. I'm just the anchor tenant. So I'm assessed at $21 a square foot is what I'm getting here. And I think if I did the math correctly, I'm paying just under $16 a square foot for rent. So I know what how you guys do this with the market rate and the going rate. My overhead is a little bit lower than what the market rate is. So that's my argument. Basically, I'm paying $16 a square foot, under $16 a square foot. I'm assessed at 21. And I mean, I was assessed at, in 2019, my ARV was 66,480. And 2020, my ARV is 73,680. So it was a $7,200 increase in a year. I've paid, just for the record, I've paid my taxes. I paid them in December. So I don't have anything outstanding. So basically that's my argument is I'm assessed at actually higher than what I'm actually paying in rent and in overhead. So I'm basically that's it. I'm paying a little bit more than what I'm assessed at more than what I'm actually paying in rent, etc. And I mean, I've been shut down for 5 months because of the code red, right? So the two things, from 2019 to 2020, my ARV increased by $7,200. and I've been shut down for 5 months. 5 months of 2020, I had no income coming in. So I'm asking for some lenience, and I don't know if the city of Winnipeg is going to be giving some type of credit for business taxes for businesses that were shut down during Code Red. I mean, I'm not the only one that suffered. Everybody in the fitness industry, everybody in the gym industry, everybody in my industry, as well as other industries, hairdressers, salons, restaurants, everybody's suffered. All entrepreneurs have suffered. But I know personally, being shut down for 5 months and with zero income coming in, it's been difficult. So I'm hoping that the city of Winnipeg will give some type of break on their 2020 business taxes. And I've been shut down for, we're reopening on Friday. I mean, we're 6 weeks into the new year, and I'm finally reopening. So, over 5 months of lockdown because of this Code Red. So I'm just asking for a little bit of lenience here for what the city can do for someone in my situation. I had no income coming in for 5 months of 2020. So I'm just asking for some type of, not a rebate or whatever you want to call it, but I am paying more than, or I'm assessed more than what I'm actually paying. And like I said, I've had a $7,200 increase from 2019 to 2020. So that's my case, pretty simple, and I'll leave everything up to you guys.
Okay, thank you very much for that. Mr. Calatrulio, do you have any questions for the applicant?
I don't at this time.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Marks, do you have any questions?
Just one question. Excuse me, what was your base ARV prior to this?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
Your base RV prior to the increase?
I'm not sure. I mean, I'm assessed at 66,480. So I moved into the building at the end of 2018. I was fully operational in 2019.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, because I can maybe help clarify on that. So the property, because it's new, there was two assessment years that were affected. 2019 was adjusted, and 2020 was adjusted. So the value that you see today, it isn't an increase necessarily from a previous, because the space is new space. What you would see, I guess, between 2019 and 2020 is just the annual rental value being updated in regards to the reference date, right? So the 2019 would have had a different reference date, April 1st of 2016, as opposed to the 2020 having the April 1st of 2018. If that helps.
Okay, thank you. And Mr. Phillick, do you have any questions for the applicant?
The schedule that we have shows the occupancy costs, heat, electricity, water, air conditioning. Do you pay those costs, or are they included in your rent?
No, I pay all my utilities.
And are these numbers kind of correct?
A little high. Everything's high. I mean, everything's high efficiency in there. You know what? It's my utilities are not that high. So, I mean, I'm looking at this premise here at 245 Main Street with a reported rent per square foot at $14. And then the next one here is at 249 St. Mary's, reported at $19. So I'm assessed at 21. So I'm asking if you guys can assess me, at the going rate here with these guys. They're under 20. So I see $14, $19, $17 a square foot for 17 St. Mary's Road. So, I'm assessed a little bit too high is what my feeling is. And like I said, I've been shut down for 5 months out of 2020. My business was shut down. So I don't know what the city is going to be doing with businesses that were in the Code Red. If they're still, if they're going to give a break. I know the city of Winnipeg was giving out $1,500 to businesses that were shut down, and you had to go through the whole application process for that $1,500. I've done it. I haven't heard anything back from the city of Winnipeg, and that was like over 2 months ago. So, yeah, I think the city of Winnipeg should be giving a break to those businesses that were shut down because of Code Red. That was totally out of our control. So, yeah, that's my case.
Okay. Mr. Philic, any other questions?
No, I don't. Thank you.
Okay, I have just a couple. So you mentioned that you were the anchor tenant. Are you the only tenant in the building?
No, there's a tenant on the second floor.
Okay, so, and is this an arm's length lease?
What does that mean?
Well, is there any connection between you and the owner?
In what regards?
Well, I guess what I'm just trying to say is, did you just lease this, through business purposes, or?
Yeah, I mean, it's a long story, but I don't own the building. I just, I pay my rent. I've been, this is not my first location. I've moved different locations over the years. And, like I said, I'm the main floor tenant.
Okay, so you have no interest in the building at all?
None, zero.
Okay, thank you.
No problem.
Okay, that's all my questions. So, any requirement for summation, Mr. Caltrulio?
Yeah, I'd like to just clarify one thing in my evidence in regards to the comparables that are provided. The reported rents there are net rents, so they would not include the occupancy costs. So be mindful of that when you're looking at the range. And when you're looking at the subject rental rate that's applied, the rental rate that we've applied is $18.81. And then there's $2.45 a square foot, basically, for occupancy costs. But basically, in summarizing my position, the modeled rent falls within the range that we'd see for comparable leases in the market. And we're still working with, unfortunately, an April 1st of 2018 reference date. So the COVID impact isn't really factored into that. We'll see more of that the next reassessment when the reference date is changed to April 1st of 2021. At that point, we'll have a good year's worth of COVID data to get a sense of exactly what the impacts are. But at this point, it's not being factored into the assessments. And I understand the challenges faced by tons of business owners within the city of Winnipeg. It's been a tough year. So I appreciate the applicant's position.
Okay, thank you. And Mr. Donatelli, would you like to summarize it all?
I mean, I pleaded my case, I thank you guys for your time and your consideration. But I mean, it's pretty simple. I think I'm assessed a little bit too high, and just asking for a little bit of lenience there because of everything that's going on with COVID, etc. And that's it. I appreciate you guys. I appreciate Mark for everything, and that's it, guys.
Okay, thank you very much. You'll receive our decision in the mail shortly, and we appreciate you joining us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.